May I now invite Honorable Alba Inés Sánchez Vaquez, ma'am, from Mexico. She's a faculty in National Autonomous University of Mexico, a mechanical engineer who has done MS in manufacturing engineering, coordinator technology-based business incubator, helping entrepreneurs, sustainability, and impact. She's a specialist in circular economy, climate change, and sustainability with vast experience working with projects for industrial, service, and government sectors. It is a privilege to have you with us, ma'am. I invite you to please address this August Assembly.
Thank you. And again, thank you. I was so happy to be able to share, I believe it was on Thursday, at least my Thursday, when I got the chance to first have a larger conference with you all, where we could discuss a little bit about what we are facing in terms of new horizons for sustainable education and how we can target that from entrepreneurship, tech transfer, and policymaking. Universities have a huge role right now if we want to make the sustainable development objectives something that we can reach by 2030. It is something that universities must get further involved and push forward from different fronts. So first I wanted to thank you all for the opportunity to share with you this conference and this opportunity to talk about similarities. I found out, and I shared with you on Thursday, that there is the Sustainable Development Solutions Network, the SDSN, has both chapters in South Asia, where India is part from, and there's also an SDSN chapter in Mexico. In these chapters, universities from the country are part, and they build, for example, bank of projects, where we can find different ways in which universities are pushing forward into solutions for sustainable development. There can be projects like the one we have just heard about related to solar energy. There are projects about water. There are projects about inclusion. And one of the ways we are trying to help these projects is, one, making sure we have a collaboration between us so we can know about each other. It is important that we strengthen our networks and we help each other reach forward. And by that, we need to help them raise their voices and let them reach other people. So we are building a roadmap that comes with entrepreneurship tools, though we know not all of them are going to be entrepreneurs, not all of them are going to be businesses. There are different ways on which we can work. There is tech transfer, and there is a lot of work that we can do in terms of tech transfer, on building corporate venture capital funding, so that these technologies can get another step forward on maturing and also on getting to the people. Another way we can work with these bank of projects is also helping them get into crowdfunding mechanisms, so that people can start reviewing them and seeing how they can also be part of those solutions on an early stage. So right now we are on that early stage with our bank of projects. We are about to release, well, the university and the Tec de Monterrey, which are the main managers of this bank of projects. They're going to release the 90 solutions that were selected from these first call for proposals on the next days. And from those 90, 10 of them are focused on entrepreneurship. Those are the ones that I'm going to be following up. If we want to share best practices, please feel open to that so we can share these experiences. And that is what is going to make a difference. I strongly recommend for you to look, for example, into what SDSN Spain is doing. They already have out a guide for universities on how they can tackle education. There are a lot of courses that are being given internationally, but by the United Nations, for example, in Mexico, we have the Inter-American Development Bank also promoting specific courses on SDSN, on Sustainable Development and Agenda 2030. And we are building mechanisms so that teachers from different universities, right now in Mexico, 61 universities are part of the SDSN network. They are sharing how through project-oriented learning or through cases, they can share practices for their classes. And so we can have a stronger community of educators building curriculum on sustainable development. Spain also has out a guide for cases and how they have been developing this bank of projects and the follow-up. After a decade of what they have been working, they know that we are still far away from having universities having a stronger role and pushing forward for Agenda 2030. For that, I must invite you to take part on policy making. We really need to make sure that we act on the local governments and that we become a strong voice with our local and national governments when it comes to sustainable development. We must push forward agendas in terms of cleaner energy, in less of inequity, and how we are going to be fighting poverty. And universities have on their side science. So we need to push forward on policy based on science. We need to push forward on companies taking commitments and taking targets to fight climate change based on science. And it is incredible how many people still don't believe in climate change and don't believe that we can build something different. And we have a call for that. We really need to make sure we are being heard and that science takes its place when it comes to policy making. And for that, I would really like to recommend you all. I have already talked about this, but I think examples like the transformative innovation policy is doing something very transformative, actually, that is based in the University of Sussex on their SPRU group. So we need to take a role because policymaking relies on experimentation and it relies on having vision, a long-term vision, and universities have a lot to do on that. We have seen national laboratories on policymaking starting to bring out these experiences, working, for example, on laboratories with citizens, on taking them into also being creative and raising a voice to that. So I would like to know more about cases in India, about these sort of scenarios that bring together universities and the people together to do this experimentation on policy making and building guidelines, and how we can have our local governments closer to that. Right now, we need to fight division within our countries and outside that, and our fight against poverty and our fight against climate change is a strong message on which we can unite people and unite the work of universities. So thank you for the opportunity and thank you for having this chance to share with you a little bit of this. And well, I think that's it for this short message from me.
Thank you. Thank you very much, madam.